welcome. Today I'm going to be working on the lovely Nakia, and we're going to be doing an anterior leg massage. Let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have time to watch this video right now, go ahead and save to your watch later and just do it whenever you get a chance. So when I'm working on the front of the leg, I like to do a solid warm-up, and I'm always just aware of how I'm kind of placing hands, so just nice and slow. I'm going to do one pass, just walking my hands down. I like to do some sort of compressive technique to just kind of gauge how tight everything's feeling, and it's a great way to work the soft tissue. Sometimes it's really good to include some type of movement, so you just want it to be intentional, and this can kind of help the hips to let go a little bit if there's any holding. And if the hips are like clenched, it can make the adductors even tighter in the inner thigh. So just kind of doing what I can to make the massage go more smoothly and to work more effectively. For this warm-up, I'm actually going to go ahead and just work my way all the way down the leg. So any time that you are working on the inner thigh, you need to be obviously very, sensitive and use the right techniques, and you do need to communicate what you're doing. So anytime that I'm working even close to the inner thigh, I work at a diagonal with my hands, so I'm always working in a way that just feels less invasive, and I'm working more on the vastus medialis and the adductors. I would really have to wrap my fingers around if I wanted to work on the adductors, and I'll save that for another video. There's a really great technique that I like to use, work on those adductors. And this is a really great movement if you're dealing with someone that has pain, especially in the inner knee. And I'm just trying to remember, sometimes my biggest challenge is just restraint, because I'm used to working in environments where I do a lot of deep tissue. It's so ingrained in me that I have to pull back sometimes, and that's just really important to honor the person that you're working on and what they need and want. And I'm gonna go ahead and work my way into this tibialis and just some compressive work with my thumbs all the way to the ankle. And at this point, it might feel really nice to just do some squeezes on the foot, because why not? Especially when I'm doing deeper work, I like to just give my client at least a few breaks to just be able to take a breath and really enjoy just a more soothing moment. And I just, my goal at the end of a massage is for it to feel like a, whole complete experience. I don't want it to feel choppy. And I'm just going to kind of reverse what I was doing. And I'm going to do kind of some different type of compressive work in these quads. So I'm going to just use more of my hand and really squeeze. So again, I'm just careful of working along the inner thigh. So I'm staying on this outer portion of the leg. And maybe just a few more little movements just to make sure that these hips are at least a little bit relaxed. We hold a lot of tension in our hips and glutes without even realizing it. And honestly, some of my clients, their hips are so tight that I will attempt to do that type of movement and it's just like not working. So you never want to force it, but at least offer it. And to apply my medium, I'm going to go ahead and do a long effleurage stroke. So just keep in mind the legs are really long. So you really need to widen your stance if you want a nice, smooth, long effleurage stroke. And you're going to feel really choppy if you're working with a short stance. So right now I'm just applying the oil and just shifting from foot to foot. And I'm starting to just focus on these quads. Just walking my hands, following the lines of these muscles. So Nakia is a very small framed person, which honestly is like the hardest type of massage to do. So you just have to be a little bit more alert, I guess, the word I would use. So I'm using paired fists here, which might be a little bit too much. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just start using one tool, so to speak. And definitely better if your wrist is straight here. And I always say, like, don't be afraid to use the table. If you're not crowding your client and you feel better resting your hand or your leg leaning against the table, nothing wrong with that, just so long as you're not making your client feel uncomfortable. And I am going to start with some cross fiber work, so I'm working in line with this muscle tissue. And so again, I'm just like throughout this massage, I'm just reminding myself to use some restraint because I can start working pretty deeply, pretty quickly if I'm not careful. So I usually work on my clients draped, which is a lot easier in some ways. I'm just going to do some cross fiber work. And I usually prefer doing petrissage on the opposite side of the table, but you can also do it same side. So you might need to step away from the table or just find a way to do it that feels comfy. And the cool thing about effleurage and petrissage is a lot of people think that there's only one way to do these techniques, but there's a lot of different applications for both techniques. So this is a more kneading, soft tissue focused petrissage, and you can start to kind of pick up the muscle tissue a little bit more and just isolate these muscles in a different way to work these deeper layers of tissue a little bit in a way that's not too invasive. You can even just pick up, squeeze. And technically this is petrissage, it might not seem like it. Focusing on that vastus medialis, maybe squeezing a little bit longer. like to just work the connective tissue around the knee. So I work my way into the lower leg. Just walking my thumbs down the tibialis, doing some cross fiber work. Dressage. It's really nice when you can bring this movement of the lower leg into that upper knee area, to that vastus medialis. Can feel really relaxing. And I'm going to start to just work my way down, doing some circular frictions with my thumb. And before I forget, I'd like to thank a few of our patrons. I'd like to thank Ben Robbins, Todd Logan, and Timothy Fields. Thank you guys so much for your support. And sometimes when you get to this lower portion of the leg, it can feel a little bit floppy. So sometimes I'll hold on to the foot just to make sure that Nikia feels nice and stable, supported. You might even just bring this pet dressage into that quad muscle. Again, just really focusing on wanting the hips to release, and going to definitely help all the quad muscles. You can literally go as slow as you want when you're doing this pet dressage technique. It can feel really nice to slow it way down. You can also go as fast as you want. And that's really just, what's exciting about being a therapist is, no two therapists are really alike in their technique, and you can just find what's most fulfilling for you and your clients. I also kind of pay attention to like the temperament of my clients. If I'm working on someone who's maybe like a little bit, their mind is just always working, I try to just slow it down because it's maybe a little more relaxing. Just working on this foot a little bit. Working the soft tissue. You do need to stabilize the foot if you're gonna do any work in there. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up with some nice slow effleurage strokes. Just working out any lingering kinks, and I did want to work on the IT band just a little bit before we finish. And again, just reminding myself to kind of really be aware of how much pressure I'm using. With this IT band though, you definitely want to be firm or it's going to feel like almost ticklish. So it doesn't have to hurt, but you need to be able to really like press firmly enough where you feel like you're not going to slide off of that tendon, and just maintain contact as you move up that area. This can feel like really relaxing in a pretty weird kind of way. feels a little bit uncomfortable, but it can offer so much relief to that hip area and in turn really help the quads. So at this point, I don't really have much oil that I'm working with. It's really normal to feel less smooth with these effleurage strokes, which is okay. So press more firmly on the way up, and then on the way down, I'm just not losing contact. That's my goal. And one more quad focused effleurage stroke, and just taking my hands out nice and slow. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, you should check out our Patreon page where you'll find some exclusive content. I look forward to seeing you there.
Join us for 14 and 30-day programs, hour-long classes, and much more on our yoga app, Yoga Plus by Psyche Truth. It's free to download and features a variety of wellness content, including yoga, fitness, Pilates, guided meditations, and interviews with dozens of wellness experts.